Hey, mi gente, it's Julian Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey! Today we're going to be talking about hood black people versus suburban black people. This is going to be a complex topic. Hopefully, I do a great job talking about this. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. We're going to start now. Where do I begin? This topic is too complex, so I am going to talk about hood black people versus suburban black people in New York City. That way, it's going to be relatable to me as I am a New Yorker, if you didn't know that, and because it is something I'm more familiar with, and it's going to be easier for you all to gravitate with what I'm sharing and how much I know about this topic. If you didn't know, I am from the hood. Yeah, yes, I am. Specifically, I am from the Bronx, born and raised. I still live in the hood as of now. And I have a college degree, if you didn't know that too, a bachelor's of communication arts with a minor in drama. Yes. I have a job. I have a 9 to 5. Yes, I do. If I was paid a bit more, I probably wouldn't be living in the hood still with my family or by myself, either or, whatever, roommate, whatever. Due to my income, my family and we cannot move, basically. Of course, there are more factors to the story. I'm not going to share all of my business, especially because that involves my family. Based on history and current events, ghetto and hood get used interchangeably. At least in NYC, ghettos are low income neighborhoods or residency. For example, NYCHA, aka New York City Housing Authority, and tenants, depending of a specific building. I'm going to put like imagery to give an example of what certain people would consider tenants, because if you're not from the projects, NYCHA, you're living in a tenant building, depending of the building and the safety, that is also considered the hood, the ghetto. I do want to point this out. You can live in the projects and make a decent income. Same thing living in a tenant building. However, that's not everybody's life situation going on living in these types of environments. When you count my family's income, including mine, some people would consider us almost middle class. And I'm using this because we're not. If trust me, if we were making a better income, we would not be living where we're living right now. Best to assure you that. I do want to point this out. When it comes to the word hood, depending of the connotation someone uses it, it can be used in the endearment way or it could be used in a derogatory way. Like, for example, some people would say hood as in like where they grew up at, whether it is the ghetto or it's not the ghetto, and in a derogatory way. They will use it like to dehumanize someone who grew up in the struggle, who is actually in a ghetto, someone who is not trying to grow as a person and improve their life. Some people would use that as herd mentality, which, yeah. The suburbs are places that have predominantly houses and or private buildings. I do need to add that most suburbs are predominantly white. So when you think of a suburb, most of the time it's a predominantly white space. Of course, things are evolving, and now there are more communities of color living in the suburbs and or changing the original landscape of the specific area. Some people also point out that depending of the income you make, that can depend on the demographics of the area you're living into in the suburbs, which that's another discussion for another day because when you think about it, kind of shows that you have to be a specific you have to make, besides being a specific type of middle class, like when it comes to like education and association, but when it comes to the income, the actual amount of money you're making and or your family is making. Pieces of shit. According to the Pew Research Center, 4 in 10 Black Americans say they live in the suburbs. I do want to note that this survey was conducted in October 2021. The second thing I want to point out is that Pew Research Center grouped Black Americans with every ethnic background. They could have just said Black people in the United States, then broke down more Black ethnic groups. Just a thought. I am going to be talking about 3 Black people who grew up in the hood. Okay, we're gonna pause. Stop. That was a minute. The first person we're going to be talking about is R&B legend Keith Sweat. Now, I am wearing a Keith Sweat sweater. Yes, I'm a big fan, but we'll talk about that after. Just a tiny bit. Keith grew up in Grant houses in Harlem with his family in the 60s and 70s. He attended the City College of New York and graduated with a communications degree. Then he started to work on Wall Street and do music on the side. The more known he became in the industry and publicly, he officially started his singing career. Keith Sweat has 14 albums and 2 collaboration albums. Congratulations to Keith Sweat. I already know his family had to work really hard to get him to where he's at right now. You have to make sacrifices and just go with the flow. And that's what he did, and it worked in his favor. And he still got a college education. He still worked a 9 to 5 before pivoting to music full time. Yes, I'm a big Keith Sweat fan. Unfortunately, I know not everybody is going to be interested in me making a Keith Sweat video. There's so much to discuss about him, and the fact that he grew up in the hood and he has a communications degree just like me. There's just so much similarities right there. So, and then on top of that, he's driven in his craft, just like how I am when it comes to content creation. There's just so much to talk about. So, maybe I make a video about him in the future. We see, but I do not think so, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to perform well. So, on to the next person. Second is Dream Doll.
My real name is Tabitha, but everybody call me Dream Doll or Dream. I'm from the Bronx, New York. What makes me a bad girl is because I really live this life. Like I drive a pink truck. I'm already popping. My Instagram followers already up. I have a fan base. I have my own hashtag.
Dream Doll is a reality television star and rapper. She's from the Bronx and grew up at the Iive houses. She attended Westchester College and Herkimer Community College. I am not sure if she graduated from Herkimer Community College. In 2015, she started to do bartending at the Starnets strip club in NYC. She became one of the popular bartenders, which led to her growing her following. The following year, she joined season 16 of the reality TV show Bad Girls. In 2017, she signed to her first label contract. Currently, she's signed to her third label, Warner Records. Congratulations to Dream Doll. I know some people are shocked. Yes, she went to college. I'm not sure if she graduated, but she sure went to college and tried. But sometimes our journeys may come out differently from each other.
Check on me like I was a Nike or whatever. My phone don't ring, it's curtains for you and that bitch, so make sure that the shit is worth. Need a nigga with some thug in them, credit cards and the drugs with them. Something about that turn me on if he in the
Third is D Dames, and he is a content creator who works a 9 to 5. Respect. His channel's more of a filming, lifestyle, and vlogging channel. He started, I believe, around 2020 or even before that. And he got consistent, I guess, around 2021, 2022. And now he's here. And I've been watching his content as of 2024. I found his content around, I do not remember, so I'm not even going to guess right now. But the point is, I've been watching his content for a couple of months right now. Dames grew up in Harlem. I'm not sure the specific part of Harlem he grew up at. However, he grew up in a shelter, but also living from house to house.
Hi, what is your biggest motivation to keep doing things every day? My biggest motivation, I feel like my biggest motivation is, or the things that keep me motivated is remembering like where I come from and, you know, how far I want to take things. You know, I don't really get too deep in these videos. The last video did kind of get kind of deep, but like, you know, I don't come from like a privileged background. Like honestly, like growing up, we was poor. You feel what I'm saying? Me, my sisters, my mother, you know, we was poor. We lived in a shelter for a while, you know, bounced around from house or apartment to apartment until like, you know, I was, you know, a little younger in my elementary, middle school years, and we found like housing that was adequate. And then, you know, once we found the housing for real, 2008 came. You already know the recession, and then, you know, we back at square one, living at my grandma's house and things like that. So I don't come from money for real.
More things happened between him, his mom, and his sisters while while living in Harlem. And this was like one of his ways of opening up to his audience and trying to give us a glimpse into what he and his family dealt with growing up in the city. I do not want to spoil the whole video, so I highly recommend you all to watch the video. I'm going to put it in the description. Are these people stupid? Okay, maybe. I still smell that. Stop. Stupid asses. I do not want to spoil his video. I highly suggest you all watch his video. It's a really impactful video, and of course, he is very passionate when it comes to filming, so it's like watching a movie. I really suggest you all watch the video. I'm going to link it in the description. If Dames does watch this video or this portion of the video, continue doing what you're doing. You're making an impact, and I appreciate the work you're doing.
This is bigger than a routine, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all of this stuff even affects a routine. But I'm kind of like, I can't even say I'm getting back to me. I'm like rediscovering me. Like, I'm 28, and there's been like a lot of life changes, and I'm just discovering like more things about myself, which is pretty dope.
Now we're at the Suburb Blacks part of this video. First is Alfonso Lincoln Robert. I'm just gonna say Alfonso, okay? So, Alfonso was born in the Riverdale section of the Bronx to Trinidadian parents. He started his acting career at a young age. He even took an hiatus to continue his high school and college education. Keep in mind, he went to the California State University, Los Angeles. I am not sure if he graduated though. He did graduate from the New York Film Academy in 1999. Fast forward to 2021, Alfonso made complaints of not receiving support from the Black community due to the fact that he married a white woman.
Frustrations about not being fully accepted by the Black community. I am in a mixed relationship, and I get things and looks and comments constantly. And I find it very interesting because you see a lot of things on social media where people say things and people have positions and perspectives. And it's not easy to make that choice because you're not at home in any home. I'm never going to be white, and I'm never going to be fully supported in Black houses. Today on the show, we have our comedy hype analysts, Capone and Pierre, on the show to give their reactions of what Alfonso had to say. Now, before I get you guys' reaction, I want to continue what Alfonso had to say because he then goes on to talk about a little bit of feud that he has with BET. In his quote, he goes on to say, "I'm in my own little world with support from almost no one. To be in love with someone I've fallen in love with, how does that make sense? It doesn't. We all want to live in a world where everyone is accepted for being and loving and living the way that they choose to live. I will support any person that wants to live in a world that they want to live in. I laugh at the fact that I am a mainstream television host, been in the game forever, and I could purchase tickets to go to the BET Awards. So it is what it is. I'm not going to purchase the tickets. But at the end of the day, if that's the view they take, then that's the view they take. I can't change their mind. All I can do is live my life and to be the best version of me, and to continue to love everybody equally and let it fall where it all falls."
I want to say a couple of things before we move on to the second person. Number one, I found out that he's mixed. I believe both of his parents are mixed race. I'm not too sure about that. But when I see his parents, I mean, you can kind of see that they may be a bit mixed, but that's due to the history of Trinidad. Obviously, there are black Trinidadian people. We all know this. By me looking at his parents, they can easily pass as just black, but I do see certain sources saying that they mixed. So who knows? That does explain how his kids look white. In my opinion, they look very white. So it makes sense as to why him marrying a white woman may have happened by him being mixed race. So that was bound to happen. Second, he married a white woman the first time, and then he married a white woman the second time. That's what I'm saying. There's a pattern. I mean, I didn't say that, but now I'm saying it. There's a pattern for him to try to play victim and say, oh, we do not want him and all this stupidities. Certain black people do not want him. He generalized black people and thinking we care about what he does in his personal life. We really don't until you brought it up. Because I didn't even know this man was married to 2 white women until he brought up the second one. And then I did more research after the fact. Alfonso, no one cares. But it does seem very telling because you're a suburban black man or mixed with black man. I'm not really sure. Second is Alfonso's In the House co-star, LL Cool J. LL Cool J is an actor and a rapper from Queens. Well, he was born in Bayshore, Long Island, but raised in St. Albans, Queens. I do want to read an important fact right now. According to the Chicago Tribune, as a kid growing up middle class and Catholic in Queens, life for Smith was heartbreaking. His father shot his mother and grandfather, nearly killing them both. When 4-year-old Smith found them, blood was everywhere. Reading this made me upset. I didn't know that LL Cool J's mother and grandfather went through this. And people be thinking that everything is very beautiful and perfect in the suburbs when it comes to black people, but in reality, that's not the case. And I'm not even talking about the racism that black people face in the suburbs, but I'm even talking about the crime within the black household in the suburbs that may be happening. And in this case, that happened to LL Cool J's mother and grandfather. He even received physical and mental abuse from her ex-boyfriend. LL found a way to improve his life by creating raps at age 10. His friend Mikey D helped him create his stage name. By the way, LL stands for Ladies Love Cool James. LL Cool J has approximately 14 albums and multiple acting credits. Props to LL Cool J. Woohoo! I do have to say one critique. I do not like the fact that LL Cool J does not perform Nodging Who Do You Love with Total. He always performs the other songs of his that are hits, but he never performs Who Do You Love? Are You For Sure?
Rock on. Who do you love? The remix. How you doing?
Who do you love? Are you for sure?
She gold link, stomach chains with rock. Official hairstyle, but you stuck up in the spot. Making love, Duke is weak, then he falling asleep. You want the
Who do you love? Are you for sure?
I wanna laugh with you. I do what I gotta do. I wanna laugh.
The second critique, who shot ya? I really liked this song until I realized that Fat Joe was in it and he was saying the N-word multiple times.
The fear lasts longer. These bitch ass niggas know he's stronger than these weaklings seeking for respect that ain't there. Knuckle
No.
female rappers too. I don't give a fuck, boo. Words, I'm here to crush all my peers. Rhymes of the morning.
It's like porn, reincarnation of the ripper. I give stitches and chest snippers. Cinderellas get propelled out their glass slippers. Time is ticking.
Finally, my least favorite person, Ja Rule.
Kiss me, baby.
Your hips, those thighs, I
Love it when you love me, baby.
If you didn't know, Ja Rule is from Hollis, Queens, New York. Ja Rule grew up middle class with his mother and grandparents who are Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, his dad left the family. Anyways, he started to sell drugs in Hollis. This is due to him hanging out in the hood. His words, not mine. Also, he tends to claim that he struggled, even though he grew up middle class. He sure does. Either way, he's a successful rapper with 7 albums and a couple of acting credits. Once again, I do not like Ja Rule. However, we need to acknowledge that he made an impact when it came to him being a superstar. He has hits, a couple of them that I like. No, I do not condone the bullshit he has said about non-black Latinos saying the N-word. I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys. I do not feel sorry for Ja Rule to be called the N-word when it comes to Fat Joe, because Ja Rule, he has a history of allowing non-black Latinos to be saying the N-word, and he's ignorant too. Like, he generalizes all Latinos in the same category, and we're not all the same.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely not. No. Metro Focus's Jenna Flanagan interviewed a Black American couple who lived in New York City. Fast forward to 2023, they moved to North Carolina. The couple wanted to grow their business and go back home. Apparently, John's family is from North Carolina, but moved to NYC back in the day.
Well, we had a very good business in New York City, Cafe Lutora Bakery. We decided to leave because we wanted to grow our business. Our business, basically, we needed a larger space to grow our business. We basically had a small bakery, about 300 square feet. So we needed a larger space to grow. COVID hit, it was time to shut down. So the South gives you opportunities to purchase Rocky Mount. When we moved to North Carolina, there was an opportunity to come to Rocky Mount and purchase a nice building for our bakery that we could actually own versus renting. Because our plan for our business is to open up several franchises of our business. And you can't do that in New York City. We wanted to run production of our patties, which we're well known for. You need space to do that. And New York City just doesn't have the space to do that. And we also wanted a different quality of life.
Joanne did point out that they have family and friends living in NYC. However, she did point it out that it is hard for New Yorkers to move.
We do know a lot. We still have a lot of friends. We also have family still living in New York City, Brooklyn in particular, and pretty much all over the tri-state area. New Yorkers have they have a hard time thinking about moving somewhere else. Even if they're not originally from New York, they've established, their living and the type of lifestyle, and they really love it. And they're not thinking about it. But there's a shift to that conversation because while they're not thinking about it, they're definitely feeling the economical impact that is, straining on them. So they start having the conversation. So
I appreciate Dr. Zunema Bear pointing out the diversity within the NYC Black community. She pointed out how most of the Black population are immigrants or generational Black people. Generational meaning first, second, or third generation Black descendants. She even mentioned about the mixed with Black population being diverse racially and ethnically.
Yeah, Dr. Blair? Yeah, sure, if I could jump in. So, yes, we have roughly 30% of the population that say that they're Black. But that just Black alone, and it's not the same. You have Afro-Caribbeans. I mean, New York City in general, or Brooklyn, to be honest with you, it has the largest African diaspora in all of North America, but that consists of Afro-Caribbeans, continental Africans. It consists of Afro-Latino and Afro-Asian. We often leave them out. There are a lot of people who are Southeast Asians or Asians that are Oriental Asians mixed with Caribbean, Chinese, Jamaican, for example. You have a lot of that going on. And so we often forget that there are multiple races in New York City and all throughout the country that say, yes, I am Black and something else, or I am Black and white. And that's a good 10% that we leave out. And so individuals such as the Guyanese, very rich culture, but say that they're Black. They also say that they're Indian. We have the Pakistanis, same thing. And then you have a large Caribbean community that really jumped on the immigration wave in the 1960s and made New York and East Flatbush and a lot of our communities home. Not just Harlem, but Brooklyn, the Northern Bronx, Southeast Queens. And so you almost could pick a spot in New York and say, this is where this community live, right? These are where the Caribbeans are in the Northern Bronx. These are where both the African Americans and Caribbeans are in Crown Heights. And you can say, this is where people from the South, and let's not forget that, right? African American.
These factors are important to touch on. I wish that they talked about the increase of Black people having mixed race children. That plays a factor too, but I know not everybody is ready for that conversation. To conclude, I want to discuss respectability politics with Black Americans. Now, I am not a Black American. I am a Honduran American. However, I am going to defend my Black American heritage. Now, Zorea and Brooklyn both have multiple things to say about working class Black Americans, specifically the ones who made it out of the hood and became their representation in media.
Majority of Black America is middle class, not in the ghettos, not out here perpetuating gang violence, promiscuity, and everything else. And I don't care if you claim it's respectability politics. I guess so be it. Because this is gross. It's getting really gross out here how blatantly disrespectful and low class we're acting on social media and in the media, on the internet, on TV. And you can claim that this is someone else's set of moral standards, but no, it isn't. It isn't. Look at Black America in the 50s, in the 60s. Our moral standards back then drastically different from what we have today, or what we're convincing ourselves is a moral standard today. Every racial group on the face of the planet has their own ghetto subculture within their respective racial and ethnic groups. This is the case for everybody, everywhere. White people, Asian people, Mexican people, you name it. The difference is that those racial groups and those ethnic groups do not allow their ghetto subculture to co-opt the entire culture as a whole and to represent the entire culture as a whole. They don't allow it. Everybody else within that respective ethnic group or cultural group or racial group has a right to say how they want to see themselves represented in the media, what they want to see and what they don't want to see.
I am going to start with Zoea. When Zoea talks about middle-class Black Americans being the majority, she does it in a bragging way, but to belittle the idea of working-class Black people. Up next is Brooklyn. Brooklyn, in comparison to Zoea, is condoning the idea of hood Black people representing Black Americans in entertainment.
Now watch this. Among the professional classes in the Negro community, actors and entertainers are relatively numerous and have the largest incomes. Here we go. The actors and entertainers, who very often have a lower class background in the social hierarchy of the Negro community, exercise a far greater influence upon the morals and manners in the Negro community than actors and entertainers in the white community. And so these actors and entertainers were from the lowest class of the Negroes, or they were blacks that were the furthest down in the pit. And in terms of today, they would be equivalent to the blacks that are coming from the inner city projects, right? The ones who become rappers, athletes, and entertainers. And they have much more influence on that community than what those types of people have in a community like the white community, or the Indian American community, or the Vietnamese American community, or the Chinese American community. And they typically bring a set of values with them that keep that community going round and round in this never-ending cycle, right? And having people wondering what's wrong with those people, right? And they're also funded by many of the white folks, and both of them together, right, they eat lunch off of that community and suck the energy all out of that community.
He uses a historical book from the 1950s. Anyways, I appreciate him putting more effort into the research. However, I believe he could have been more nuanced. I feel like he only kept pounding on hood Black Americans, as if every hood Black American is doing illegal activities. There are working class families trying to do better, trying to get their children through college, trade school, or whatever pathway their children chooses. I get that media representation can be a slippery slope. However, you can find ways to support Black Americans who support your best interest. Then again, this is YouTube, and most likely the majority of his audience are conservative. So they love these conservative talking points and values, as if a lot of Black Americans in media are just acting ratchet on the screen or doing hood-like activity. And I'm not saying it's not a thing. We all see it, but it's a Black people and mixed with Black people issue. It's not just individually Black Americans. And I feel like it's over exaggerated, because if you actually supported more people similar to you and or people you may want to consume, it wouldn't be a commonplace. And I can easily name a couple of Black Americans who are in entertainment, and they not as big, or they big, but they not the main face. But I do not see you try to support them like how you criticizing the other Black American entertainers. Just a thought. Thank you so much if you made it this far in this video. I appreciate you. Be sure to like this video, comment, and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Let me know if anyone in this video stick out to you. Remember, if you want to request any video ideas from me, you can contact me at julianstevesweb@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at juice98. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. Thank you and peace, mi gente.